Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tar Lee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on OMTimes Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Eros Evolution. This is where sexuality and spirituality meets. My name is Martha. I'm a clinical sexologist with a doctorate in human sexuality, and I'm from Eros Coaching. And you can find me at eroscoaching.com. Just before we enter into today's show, I want to do a little shout out for my campaign that I'm running and launching tomorrow. And it's called Clean and Clear. It's basically a 30-day online campaign where everything is happening in a Facebook group that I created. Everyone there is going to have access to resources on how to do different emotional releasing techniques, and I will be doing expert interviews with my friends who are mainly sex educators and also into Tantra, and I have one who is into trauma release exercises. And so what's going to happen is all these free resources will be available in this Facebook group, and the request, encouragement, and the call for action is for everybody to do emotional release for 10 minutes a day for 30 minutes. And we certainly believe that if we can let go of negative emotions, then there is room for more pleasure, creativity, positivity to enter our lives. So this 30-day campaign that I'm initiating is completely for free. It's going to start tomorrow, and you can join this group by going to facebook.com/groups/clean and clear. So clean and ADN clear. There's a slight typo there, but actually clean and clear is not available, so I just got clean ADN clear. So join me at facebook.com/groups/clean ADN clear to have access to all these resources. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest today. Today's show title is Touch Me in Ways That Matter. Touch Me in Ways That Matter. And we're really talking about dementia. It's a degenerative brain disease that causes memory loss, with many of us thinking that if a person has dementia, they're not aware of life experiences, especially in the later stages of the disease. So in this show, my friend, who is based in Perth, Bianca Briggs, will share with me ideas on how to value the person with dementia and support the person who is caring for them, the caregiver, in ways that really make a difference. So who is Bianca? She's been supporting elderly people struggling with the changing demands of life, both physically and emotionally, with little support from their loved ones and community due to a lack of knowledge of what is available for many years. And so she founded Heart to Heart Connections Aging and Dementia Support in early 2016. She works with seniors, including many who are living with dementia, to support them and their families who are looking for answers on how to live the best lives at this moment, and also having the clarity and peace of mind that they're on the right track in making the best choices for their future. Bianca works in a gentle, compassionate way to find genuine, practical solutions with long-term benefits so that peace of mind and body is attained. She's a Reiki practitioner like myself. She's a Reiki practitioner, essential oils advocate, and has over 30 years in the aged care field. She has a son living with Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism, and from this has developed her practices to work with many age groups. And you can find out about Bianca and her work by going to her website, heart2heartconnections.live. That's heart with the number 2, heartconnections.live. There's no space or anything in between. Okay, and welcome, Bianca.
Thank you, Martha. Good morning.
Morning. It is 4 a.m. In Singapore and Perth, and we're up because we love this work and we love reaching out to more people with our work.
We're very dedicated, aren't we?
We are. I love you for doing this. And this is a great opportunity to let more people know about dementia and dementia support. So tell us a little bit more, because the bio that you provided me already begin to talk about how you started to step into this line of work, but I just still wanted an opportunity for us to hear your story.
Well, I've worked with people with dementia since I was 15 years old. I have found them to be the most beautiful and honest people in their disease, because they don't have those filters anymore that we have as well-functioning humans to hide what we feel. So people with dementia really give you the honest truth, and I really love that. So I've just fallen in love with these people and their supportive partners, because, you know, it's such a stigma to live with dementia, and it seems that everyone thinks that it's a horrible disease, and this is the way it's portrayed in the media and out in the community. But if there is an understanding of dementia, and if you are loved unconditionally with your dementia, things don't seem to be quite as bad if people have the understanding of it.
What actually got you into doing this at the age of 15, though?
I think I'm just a genuine healer. I honestly think just caring for people is just innate in me.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned like they are the sweetest people, and also you said something in the synopsis that I thought was really amazing. You said people assume that people with dementia are not aware of life experiences, especially in later stages of the disease. Could you elaborate on that? I'm really curious. Well, I think I kind of think like people with dementia just forget everything from the past, but they definitely still have sensory awareness. So when you say not aware of life experiences, what has been your experience with people who are with people with dementia?
Okay. What happens is the memories of right now are not really clear. The sensory experiences come in very much in the moment, but people with dementia very much remember their past, and because everybody's past is different and we all have different experiences, we can bring that into the now and work with that with the person with the now. So something that happened 30 years ago that was significant in that person's life may reflect in their dementia now by either a positive or a negative experience, depending on what that experience was, say, 30 years ago. So if we know that person really well, and they start displaying what people call behaviours around a certain thing, we often can reflect that back to an experience in the past. And if we know that person well, we can work with that experience. And if it's a traumatic experience, sometimes all that's needed is understanding and working with that experience, and sometimes just working through that experience. A lot of people with dementia have unfinished business that they need to talk about, or they need somebody to understand. So just really listening to the person with dementia and expressing that you have the empathy and the time to listen to what they're saying, and also listening behind their words and using your body language to really understand them and empathise with them.
Yeah, I sense a lot of empathy that you have. So I'm just very curious of all the different types of people one could support and help. Why specifically dementia?
I think it's a minority group that people are scared of working with, and I think that's just due to lack of knowledge more than anything. And like I said, the way that dementia is portrayed out in the community by the media as people suffering, people, really down and out living with dementia, it's, just a very, very negative impact of a disease. And I'm trying to actually change that and make it, we all live with diseases. Dementia is just really another disease. yes, it's hard. That person's memories are going, and you know, the person that we knew as a person is often not the one that is in front of us right now. But if we really know the person, if we look back and find things that we have in common or find stories that we can share, often that person does come back.
Yeah. I really love everything that you're sharing with us today. It's so important to really talk about this. And so far, what I'm getting from you is that you've gone through this work because you're a natural healer, and you've been doing this since you were 15 with an experience of over 30 years. And what you're saying is that based on the memories that people have past, whether it's positive or negative one, this will affect them. And so there's this sense of unfinished business that they do need to have people to talk to and to understand them. And yes, go on.
Sometimes just being with a person, you don't even have to do anything. It's just sharing that energy and that unconditional love, and just knowing that person can trust in you just to be there.
Yeah. And so what you're saying is that you're trying to correct this perception and this lack of knowledge that people have about this minority population, and that this to kind of like normalize the negative impacts of this disease, so much so that it's just another disease it doesn't just take on a big life of its own.
Exactly right, yeah.
So we're going to have a break very soon, but I'm very, very curious in your experience whether there are things that can help prevent dementia that is natural, you know, not just going to doctors. So I like to ask that after this break.
Okay, that's a big can of worms.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance. Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAIN.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
You are listening to Eros Evolution on the OMTimes Radio Network, and you can share this show with your friends by going to the link omtimes.com/mobile. With this link, your friends will be able to listen to the show without needing to download any app. That makes it really cool and convenient and easy. So today we're talking about touching you, touch me in ways that matter. We're talking about dementia with Bianca Briggs. And you can find her at heart2heartconnections.live. That's heart with the number 2, heartconnections.live, no space in between. And just before break, I was beginning to start to understand about dementia from Bianca's point of view, and I wanted to ask her the question whether she knows of any natural remedies or foods that can prevent this degenerative brain disease from its effects. Bianca?
Okay, Martha, like I said, that's a really, really big topic, and there are a lot of opinions on that. But in my opinion, I think just leading a very active and healthy lifestyle around and keeping yourself being part of the community are all very important to keeping your brain healthy.
That's really important.
So,
that's great.
Yeah, so eating all your fruits and veggies, and you're keeping your proteins up, and being very much part of groups, and being more than just going to work and going home again, being part of something that you really enjoy.
That's good. So I'm wondering, when it comes to people with dementia and you're talking about them being part of groups, leading an active lifestyle, what about the caregivers and people around them? How important you feel that this genuine human touch is for someone living with dementia?
I think that as people progress into their dementia, the sensuality of touch kind of disappears a little bit. You become very practical around your touch. You do things for the person living with dementia, and your touch almost becomes clinical, like you're showering them, you're changing them, and often the sensual touch disappears from your relationship. So there's less cuddles, there's less hugs, there's less, just touching just because you can, because you love that person. It becomes a very different relationship, and that's okay, but we also need to understand that people living with dementia also need that sensual touch, and it doesn't even have to be a sexual touch, it's just sensual. It has to be more than a clinical touch.
Got it. I think what happens with caregivers is they don't want the person living with dementia, it could be their family member, it could be their patient, client. They don't want the person to become eroticized. Do you have experiences where people with dementia being touched in sensuous way can get turned on and get erections? I'm curious about these things because I'm a sexologist. So maybe that's the reason why they're touching in clinical ways.
It might be, but usually what we find is that happens very rarely, and honestly, the times that it does happen is that person is crying out for unconditional love, and if we can understand that behaviour, that erotic behaviour, as one of I am crying out for just somebody to touch me, and it doesn't have to be in a sexual way. And, somebody who understands me and who just loves me rather than who just is here to do something for me, then those behaviours often, they settle down a lot once we start doing that. And sometimes that takes a long time, and it takes a lot of patience for the loved ones and the caregivers to work around that. So it's just trying to understand where these unmet needs are coming from, really.
Yeah, what is coming to me as you're saying this is you are giving out a reframing for people. Instead of seeing sensuality as sexuality, as touch as something that would turn on someone and therefore you touch them in mechanical, clinical ways. Instead of seeing it that way, why not reframe it and see it as something where they're crying out for unconditional love, and let's get over that fear of them getting turned on. And also, because this show is on OMTimes Radio Network, and a lot of our listeners are people who are very sensitive. They do energy work, they're spiritual, and of course they listen to this show because they're interested in also the link between sex and spirit. And what I'm feeling is that it's so important, as much as we are sensitive and empaths, and we work with energies. We definitely, even if you have someone who has dementia, they wouldn't want to be touched in clinical ways. We absorb all that into our bodies, and it's really not good to be touched without love and compassion and empathy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we can take that to so many levels that, it's when you're sharing with somebody, you don't just wash them down. You give them a nice shoulder massage while you're rubbing their back, or, you just give them an extra bit of hand massage while you're in the shower. That's what I mean by sensual touch. It doesn't have to be around the erogenous zones. It can be in any part of the body that you're comfortable touching in an unconditional love way. So I think it's just people understanding that.
So in mentioning the importance of touch, what advice do you have for listeners on exploring this?
I think really, again, knowing the person living with dementia and what makes them feel wonderful in the sense of touch. Some people don't like being touched at all, so there's no point going that. But you really need to know the person's history, how they like to be touched, where they like to be touched, and what brings them that really nice, I love my feet being touched and rubbed, and it just makes me tingle, but not in a sexual way. It just really makes me go, oh, that's so nice, So it's just really knowing where the person likes to be touched in a very spiritual way, what ignites that really nice feeling of just, oh my gosh, that feels so nice when somebody else does that. It's like having your hair washed by a hairdresser. It's like you do it every couple of days to wash your hair, but when you go to the hairdresser and the hairdresser does it, you just go, oh my God, that feels so nice when somebody else does it. That's what I'm trying to get.
Yeah, that's really important. And so what you do is you ask for feedback. You ask about the how, the what, and the where, and it's pretty much about communication and also being in your body and following your intuition.
Absolutely following your intuition, and you can tell, even if a person with dementia doesn't use their words, you can tell by their body language whether they're enjoying something or not.
That's beautiful. And I suppose touch is also very calming. So when we talk about touch, how about other sensory play that can be included, for instance, like maybe music? So what do you feel about the use of music on when we're touching or massaging some our people with dementia? Do you think it's important to stimulate their senses with touch and music?
Yeah, definitely. Just as an example, imagine I'm giving you a hand massage to heavy rock music. It's kind of like contradictory, unless rock music really, you love rock music and it relaxes you. But I don't feel that from you. I really get that, something really relaxing, maybe listening to some Enya or some relaxing music with some nice wave sounds behind it is much more relaxing for you than playing whatever's on the radio or, say, for example, heavy rock music. You've really got to set the scene with these people and give them the opportunity to really just sink back into their true self and really get hold of that inner essence of that person. And this is, again, where it's so important to know what gets the person through and what helps them relax and what helps them get in touch with their sensual self. And also, smells are very important to people living with dementia. So, essential oils burning or something, a favourite smell of theirs that you can bring in, and also talking about how they're feeling. And, even if they're not using their words, it doesn't mean that you can't have a conversation with them. They can still understand what you're saying. And a lot of it's not in the words that you're saying, it's in the tone of your voice, it's in the way that you're expressing yourself.
Yeah, all this is really useful because I don't know. I'm just projecting and imagining that people with dementia might feel very disorientated and confused about where they're at, who they're with, and so all these things will really soothe them.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just a matter of, like I said, knowing that person, getting their history, and really understanding what makes that person tick.
Yeah, so I'm getting a big appreciation of the amount of sensitivity that goes into taking care of someone with dementia. And I suppose that there are like different stages of dementia, because you're talking about like later stages of dementia. They are not aware of life experiences. They may not be able to talk, but they can understand the tone. So in your work, are there like different stages that we need to know about this disease?
Yes, there are, but I think a lot of people concentrate on this and try and figure out at which stage is my person living with dementia. And my suggestion is to not worry so much about that and just concentrate on who the person is in that moment, because what a person with dementia can do on one day, they might not be able to do the next, and it might change the day after. So just really concentrate on who that person is right now in front of you and right in this moment.
That is really, really good advice, because we get caught up with that, and this can change quite a bit, just like our moods can change quite a bit, and depending on what's going on as well and the environment. So I get what you're trying to say, because I think in trying to place them at different stages, we lose sight of being present and really truly being of service.
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, there are some days that are going to be really hard.
Yeah, so we'll continue this after this break. I really appreciate all the things that you're sharing, Bianca.
Thank you.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment, a philanthropic organization. Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
And I'm Susan Schuler.
And I'm Lori Walker.
And we are
the Psychic Angel Channelers
from Angel Talk Tuesday.
Tune in every week at 10 a.m. Eastern on OMTimesRadio.com.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Bathe in the beautiful vibrational frequency to help you heal, expand, and remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
What's up? This is Brad and Mike from Lincoln Park for Life Beat, the music industry fights AIDS. Listen up, times are tough and you get a lot of things thrown your way. If you're being pressured to have sex and you're not ready, then say no. If you're having sex, be smart and use protection. Respect yourself and protect yourself.
For more information, call the National AIDS Hotline at 1-800-342-AIDS or log on to www.lifebeat.org.
And welcome to Arrow's Evolution. This is where sex and spirit meet. This is Martha, and I'm a clinical sexologist with a doctorate in human sexuality. I'm with Bianca Briggs, and she is an expert when it comes to working with people with dementia. She has been working with them for the longest time, for 30 over years, working with them in the aged care field. And what she does is she supports elderly people struggling with the changing demands of life, physically, emotionally, and with little support from their loved ones and community due to a lack of knowledge. So what she does is she bridges that gap, and she founded heart-to-heart connections in early 2016. So just before the break, we were talking about what? Oh, we both forgot. Yeah. So we're talking about working with people who, instead of placing them into different stages of dementia, working with them from where they're at. Is there anything you'd like to elaborate on that point, Bianca?
I think just, like I said, being in the moment with a person with dementia and really just not worrying about what stage that person's at, but just looking at the person, who that person is right now, and working with them on what they're doing right now, what they're seeing right now, what they're feeling right now.
Okay. Okay, so my memory of people with dementia is really when I was young, in my teenage years, being forced by the school actually to go and do community work, and usually this means being chartered in a bus to an age home, and then you try to talk to elderly people, and then you take off and say goodbye. But one of the things that I did notice when I was there is that the nurses were with people with dementia and taking them through like picture books of memories and getting them to remember the past and talk about them, because I think this helps delay the onset of dementia. Do you feel that is important to have documentation of memories, and why?
Yeah, people's life stories are so important because, as I said before, everybody's life is different, and everybody has different experience of life. What might be pleasurable for you might not have been pleasurable for me. We've all got our own feelings around certain experiences. So really getting somebody's life story down, especially, from their own words and from items that they really love, that's what is going to keep the memories alive. No point putting something in front of somebody and saying, do you remember that? Because if it's not important to them, they often don't remember, and it's up to us to actually invoke memories by knowing that person and saying, I remember when, and using this object, we did this together, or we went here together, and we had the most beautiful lunch at this beautiful restaurant, and if you don't know the stories, the kind of conversations that you have are often empty because they have no history and they have no meaning to that particular person. So it's really important to know the essence of that person.
Okay. So you feel that it's important to do the basically recording of memories that are important for them, and it is for them rather than something that we do it because we feel that it's good for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and because it's good for us and it ticks a box in our world. It often doesn't mean that you're ticking a box in their world. It might not mean anything to that person. So we've got to truly know the person and truly get memories down. Everybody should be writing a memory book. It's not just people with dementia. Everybody should be writing a memory book to actually invoke all those wonderful feelings that we have of our lives.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Because we want to be thinking about things that makes us feel good and happy and proud of our lives, rather than only the sad and the difficult. I think our mind tends to be drawn to our perceived failures and failings than things that make us feel positive and happy.
Absolutely. And, we can talk about things that have made us sad, and sometimes, that brings out the most beautiful reactions from a person living with dementia or memory loss, but most of the time, a lot of the memories that we talk about with people living with dementia are ones that have invoked, really good feelings. And, just knowing what that person has experienced in their life and talking about it is something that will keep people's spirits nourished and keep their essence alive.
That's great. Okay, could you give me examples? Because I know you say you work with people who have dementia, and you help their families to live their best lives at this moment and to have clarity of mind on what are the best choices for their loved ones with dementia. So what are some of the very practical solutions that you provide?
I think,
maybe
like we were talking about, getting the memory books happening, getting the stories down while the person with dementia still has their ability to use sentences and words, and even verbally, taking stories down in that person's own words is really important, because if they listen to their own voices, they often think, wow, that's me talking, so it must have happened. The other thing is keeping people occupied in ways that matter to them. In a lot of facilities, I see activities happening, but they don't hold interest for every single person. Everybody gets around the table and does craft or plays bingo, and you often see that some people are enjoying it and others are not. So I think probably keeping the activities that are meaningful to the person is really important, and not just taking a group approach to everything. And I know that's time consuming, but sometimes we need to spend a little bit of extra time just making an individual approach and keeping things to a level where it is interesting for the person living with memory loss to keep on going and to keep on engaging, because it takes a lot of energy for these people to be in our world.
I really love what you're saying. I mean, I'm an introvert. I'm highly sensitive to energies, and I have noticed that I don't really do well in groups, in the sense that I don't really like doing groupy things, and I certainly don't like being made to do things. And so I often imagine that if I grow older and I'm in an age home, I'm going to have difficulties, and I'm going to be one of the difficult, grumpy clients that they would have. So I really appreciate what you're saying, which is take the time to know them and occupy them in ways that matters to them and is meaningful to them, and not just make them do things. I think that would really break my spirit if I mean, as an elder, to lose my dignity and integrity that way.
Yeah. And what you're saying, I mean, you were saying you become grumpy and difficult, but really you're not grumpy and difficult. You're just expressing that you're not happy with what's happening. And if you don't have the words to express that, people are going to label you as grumpy and difficult because they don't understand you don't have the conversational capabilities to express that's not what you want to do. So when people can't express that, of course they become grumpy and difficult. Everybody becomes grumpy and difficult when they can't express how they're feeling. So that's really important to understand, that if people become grumpy and difficult, there's a reason for it. That if they haven't been grumpy and difficult all their life, why would they start doing that now? It's an unmet need.
I love it. Thank you so much for reframing. And I think it's really important for caregivers to know that they didn't become grumpy and difficult because they're not happy, and it's so simple. It's like a little puzzle. You just need to figure out what works so that they are happy.
That's right. That's exactly right. We can't make people happy.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
We can't make people happy. We have to invoke that happiness from them.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love what you mentioned, like being able to help them express their true self and their inner essence. I think it's really important to be sensitive around it, and I have a lot of appreciation for your work. So when people approach you and say, okay, I want to work with you and get support for my loved ones at home, what is the first thing that they can expect in working with you? Like what's the process besides knowing that you've given us some practical tips? So what are the other things that they can look forward to in engaging with you? Is it like a one-time consultation? Is it like they need to commit to a period of time?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question, Martha, and thank you for asking that. What I usually do is I consult with the people around the person living with dementia first, find out what their issues are, because usually a lot of the issues with the person living with dementia are around the understanding of their loved ones around what dementia is and how to work with the person. So I talk about what their experiences are of dementia and what problems they're actually having with the person living with dementia and why they're feeling that way. And then we talk about the person's life before their dementia and what they were like and you know, what the loved one is missing around, you know, the person with dementia. So it's a very involved process. And my initial consultation is about 2.5 hours while I find out what the issues are and who the person was living with dementia. And then we can work on like what I call a wellbeing profile. And then we can work around ways to work with the person living with dementia and their loved ones around finding practical ways to work with those issues, because a lot of the problems are not really from the person with dementia, it's around our understanding of the person with dementia.
Yeah. Okay. So you have an intake which involves a consultation, asking all the initial issues, and it's 2.5 hours you mentioned, and then coming up with a well-being profile, and you also support them in the implementation.
That's right, yeah. So I give them a report, and then what happens is after that, I give them hints and tips in that report, and if they want to work with me further on how to do that, well then we carry on from there.
Okay. So how long usually? Oh, we have a break, but yeah, we'll come back and talk more about this.
No problem.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. The #1 reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Join me, Tammy Adams, intuitive life coach and spiritual healer, for my new show, Karma Talk. Learn how to get rid of your karma so that you can start living the life you are meant to live. I am not going to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Join me on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time for Karma Talk on OMTimes Radio.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us. All of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
And this is the last 15 minutes of today's show. We're talking with Bianca Briggs on Touch Me in Ways That Matter. We're talking specifically about dementia, that is a degenerative brain disease. And just before the break, Bianca was describing, first of all, practical tips on how one can support a person with dementia, and then she started to talk about the process in which she does in working with people with dementia, which includes an intake and a well-being profile. So I was going to ask Bianca about the duration in which a typical client engages you in.
Okay, Martha. Yeah, no problem. It's different for every person. Usually, on an average, I usually spend probably about 6 to 8 hours with families, and then they kind of go away and work on what I've suggested. Sometimes it only takes the initial session, so it's just how open the people are to seeing dementia from a different point of view, and also working with them around what kind of level of interaction they would love to have with their person living with dementia, and also, working with the person with dementia, if they're able to be worked with from my point of view, if they're open to having me as a stranger work with them, I can also, support the families in that and give them practical and, physical ways of working with the person with dementia, so that I kind of lead by example and show them how it works rather than just telling them how.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, this show always explores the link between sex and spirit. So could you describe in your own words what you feel is the link between the two?
Well, I think spirit is it's the essential core of our being, and if we look at spirit as that rather than as a religious sense of being, I think when we have sensuality in our lives, that touch actually ignites that essential essence, doesn't it? And we become more open to receiving energy. And we then it grows our links together. It's like we share an energy.
Okay, so that is how you see the link between sex and spirit. That sensuality and touch helps us to open up and connect with our essence, and so that's the reason why you feel touch is very important, and of course this extends to touch when it comes to working with people with dementia, which also earlier in the show you mentioned, don't just touch them in clinical ways, also focus on the sensuality, the compassion, and the connection with the person that for caregivers taking care of them.
Absolutely. And that's why I named my business Heart to Heart Connections, is because without that heart in our connection, we just become lifeless. It's just so, there's no point in life if we don't have a connection with people.
So this is the title of the show, which is Touch, and we've talked a lot about touch. Would you be willing to share a little bit on your experience on sensual touch?
Yeah, just my own experiences. Personally, I think when it comes to sensuality and sex, I think my way of feeling is that I am a very sensual person, and I need a lot of touch, before I become to the point where I actually really want to give out my energy in other ways. So I think touch is just so important to me, and I think that if people understand that, we all have different levels of ignition when it comes to our sexual energy, and that, sometimes touch is just so very important to igniting that energy.
That's beautiful. So any last words that you'd like to share with our listeners before we end today's show?
I also think that, exploring yourself and what you like and letting other people know what you like is very important. So, when you're in a relationship, really talk about what makes your body and your heart sing. And really be intimate about it, and try just having a touching session rather than having sex all the time. And touching is just such a beautiful way to spend an hour together, and just really getting involved in how your body's feeling around being touched, and what areas are really just nice for you, that feel really good without having a sexual kind of meaning.
Yeah, about the connection. So not everything is about sex, of course.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you are available for individuals appointments anywhere in the world via Skype, and people can message and email you. And for those people who live in Western Australia, that you do home visits. It's I guess really important to be able to see your clients where is their environment, and you can give better advice there.
Absolutely. Environment's really important as well. We've got to look at, there's a lot of other things that become involved with a person living with dementia in their environment. So it's quite a good idea to have me visit just to see what the environment's like and how we can improve that. And it's not just a physical environment, so we need to look at lots of different things.
Yeah. Sure. So you founded this your company, Heart to Heart Connections, Aging and Dementia Support, in 2016, early 2016. So it's been a year now. How has things been for you?
Yeah, really good. I'm really getting some real value out of what I'm doing, and I'm really just touched by the amount of people that really want to have the best for their loved one living with dementia, and really want to understand the person, and really want to bring out the best in that person and understand themselves. And that's another thing I talk about, is really looking after yourself, because without looking after yourself, how are you going to care for somebody else with dementia? So I think self-care is also very important, and I talk a lot about that with the loved ones of the person living with dementia. Is nourish yourself first, because without you being fully nourished, how can you nourish somebody else?
Yeah, very important to also be looking at the caregiver, and that they take care of themselves and not at the expense of themselves. That's really important to know. Okay,
it's very
so you're available via
Skype. Yep.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
That doesn't matter, I've lost my train of thought now.
You're saying that it's really important to... Yeah, never mind.
It's really important.
Yeah, so that is
really important to acknowledge.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Martha, you go on. No, you go.
No, you go on.
It's really important to keep the person, the people around that person, really their energy levels up, and actually acknowledging that some days are going to be hard and some days are going to be difficult, and to acknowledge that you're not failing.
Beautiful. Okay, so with those beautiful words, we'll call this a wrap for today's show. And remember that this interview today with Bianca Briggs, she's based in Perth, and she runs Heart to Heart Connections.live. So her website is heart2Heart Connections.live, and you can find her on Twitter, Heart to Heart, and on Facebook. That is facebook.com/Heart2Heart Connections.live. So she has a Facebook page as well, which you may want to follow her and connect with her work. And once again, Bianca Briggs, she's a Reiki practitioner, essential oils advocate. So she does sell essential oils and provides advice for essential oils as well. And she has over 30 years in the aged care field. And her work, Heart to Heart Connections, Set Your Spirit Free focuses on dementia support and education, aged care navigation, Reiki, and essential oils. And today it has been a very enlightening episode for me in understanding and appreciating more about supporting people with dementia and the kind of work that my friend Bianca does. I knew she does this, but I didn't really appreciate the whole complexity of her work until today. So thank you very much, Bianca.
Thank you, Martha, for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. And so let me describe next week's show. We have a very interesting title. It's called Animated Sex, the Spirituality of Eros. And we are with Dr. Jacob Pastolier. And basically, he's a very experienced sexologist from Germany. And he wants to be talking about visual sex. And nowadays, there's so many things with regards to sexuality and sex that is just sex becomes empty and shallow if the connection to Eros gets cut off. So it's not just about, a lot of people may not know, but Eros is, for the Romans, a chubby little angel with bow and arrow. Eros is the god of Cupid, or god of love. And Eros is not just that. So in next week's episode, you'll find out more about Eros and what it is when it comes to animated sex. So this has been Master of Eros Coaching, and you can find me at eroscoaching.com. In the meantime, keep being lovely, wonderful, amazing, and don't forget your sexual and spiritual practice that keeps you happy, yummy, juicy, and vibrant. So goodbye and have a good week ahead.